Hey everyone, we are so excited to be here in Everyday Conversations to be able to talk with David, who yesterday just shared with us his heart and the words from 1 Peter. And so Dave, as we step into Everyday Conversations, what is that one thing that you want our church to take away with from your sermon yesterday?
Yeah, so we were in chapter 2 of 1 Peter. And one of the things that Peter talks about is the idea that we are living stones being built into a spiritual house. And I think the one thing that I would want the church to take away, or anybody that is hearing the sermon, no matter where they are, where they might have gathered, or if they hear it later, is the idea that as a living stone, what God is wanting to do in our lives is He's wanting to build something beautiful into our lives and build our lives into something amazing. And that, because I think there's a lot of, because I do this, I mean, there's a lot of self-talk that goes on, and sometimes it's very negative. It's like, because we'll come up against something that seems to knock our lives over. And that's what I loved about the fact that we had people playing Jenga during the sermon. And it was really funny talking to people before the service and inviting them and say, hey, I want you to help me out with the sermon and play Jenga literally while I'm preaching. But I think that was such a powerful illustration, because life can come along and knock us over, and we're like, oh man, I got to rebuild, I got to start over. I had this situation that happened. But what God is doing all the while is He is shaping and He's molding and He's building. And for every one of us, He has chosen us. And it literally says that in 1 Peter chapter 2, that He has chosen us. And He wants to build something beautiful and amazing into our lives. So if there's one thing, that would be it.
Oh, that's good. I loved looking at social media yesterday, and there were families that had posted pictures of playing Jenga in the afternoon. And I thought, when you think of Everyday Conversations, that's a great way to illustrate exactly what you're talking about in our families, in our homes, and just having that conversation.
So, well, hey, I want to just tell you this. One of the things that I did when I was writing that sermon, because Gina and I have a small Jenga set at home, and at my desk, I set it up, and I would work a little bit on the sermon, and then I would play Jenga.
That's funny.
And then I would work a little bit on the sermon, and I would play Jenga, and it's still sitting on my desk at home, like, you know, where I built it up.
That is awesome. Well, I have one last thought that I'd love to ask. And that is, when all of a sudden you pull that last block, right? And everything comes crashing down, and you're in that moment of having to rebuild. And I feel like our world is in that moment right now. What would you say to encourage each other to keep moving, to keep focusing on God and rebuilding?
Yeah. I'm just going to say it like this, that God is beyond the space-time continuum, and He sees everything that is going on, that He is still on the throne. He is still sovereign. Jesus still has the ability to walk on water. Jesus still has the ability to be in the boat with us in the middle of the storm, and that He knows what's going to happen tomorrow. He knows what's going to happen next week. He knows He knows those moments in our lives when the Jenga is going to come down.
Yes.
And He has promised to always be there. So I think that is simply it, is that no matter what happens, no matter what knocks my life over, is that I can trust God. And I can keep walking forward. And it may be painful, it may be confusing, it may be scary, and it may be uncertain. But the clarity that we can have, or the certainty, let's even say clarity, but the certainty that we can have is that God has said, hey, I've got you. I have chosen you, and you are mine. And I will always be with you. So I think that's the one thing.
I love that. And I love getting to talk with you today in our Everyday Conversations, and encourage each of you to take this conversation into your family, into your friends, with your coworkers, and let God work in the lives of you and the people that are around you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, y'all have a great week. Thanks for joining us with Everyday Conversations. And thank you, Julie. I appreciate it.
Thanks for meeting with us.
Absolutely. See you guys.